Wherever you are in the world. It is 5:04 in the morning over here in the UK on the 26th of August 2018. We're waiting tomorrow, we're moving into the 27th, which is the High Watch Day interpretations from the iPad Goat video that I've made, possible connections with the London Transport Network, possibly in association with the Carnival. Tomorrow is a bank holiday as well. So we'll see if anything happens. And obviously, the news will pick it up and I'll update if anything does happen. In the meantime, I've got some things to update you of other things going on around the world. North Korea bans foreign visitors as Kim's hermit state prepare for huge celebration. Now, this is a military celebration or a military parade, which they're going to be conducting on September the 9th for a period before September the 9th. They're stopping tourists from coming in, I'm guessing in preparation for this large-scale military parade. Obviously, there's still the reports of North Korea working on their nuclear program, submarines, missiles, all sorts of things. A large-scale military parade on September the 9th, which is when they did a nuclear test in 2016, could be a significant date for them to launch another missile of some kind or something provocative. Maybe not, but as you can see, the denuclearization talks between North Korea and the United States have kind of collapsed, with Donald Trump demanding Pompeo cancel his visit, which he had planned for North Korea. I believe that would have been next week. Pompeo was scheduled to travel to North Korea for the fourth time next week yet to discuss plans to end Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un agreed to end the program during a June meeting with Trump in Singapore. At least that's what we are told. The actions don't seem to reflect that. And during that time, September the 9th, China's President Xi Jinping will be making a visit to North Korea for the first time. So quite a few significant things going on. It is North Korea's 70th anniversary. Obviously, 70 has been talked about a lot, especially in connection with Israel's 70th year, which we are now in. And this year will be North Korea's 70th anniversary, celebrating on September the 9th. Chinese president coming over. Who knows if he's going to bring any military with him. There's been rumors that China have been preparing or at least readying themselves to inject themselves into North Korea in the event something provocative happens and a strike is launched on North Korea. So there's a lot of things to kind of watch out for in the North Korean sphere of things, especially around September the 9th. As I've said, 2016 they did a nuclear test on September the 9th. 2017 they did a nuclear test on September the 2nd. So again, we've got quite a few things to look out for within that time frame. On to Iran. So Iran believes, according to this report, that they can, wait out the Trump administration in terms of the nuclear deal. So they are kind of holding on to the nuclear deal, and it's holding on by strings, literally, with the European partners, Germany, France, and the UK, as well as China and Russia, trying to shore up the nuclear deal. They are finding it difficult with the sanctions that are being placed on Iran. A lot of companies are withdrawing from Iran, making it a lot more likely that Iran will seek other routes to shore up its economy. Some of those routes would include China, Russia, Turkey. Turkey is having its own issues with the United States and sanctions. They're also looking at other options in terms of Iran, China, and Russia. So you've got them all kind of looking inwards to each other now that pretty much all of those countries, China, Russia, Iran, Turkey, are sanctioned by the United States. So a lot going on. And at the same time, you've got the United States, saying that they are preparing an airstrike on Iran. At least they're not saying this out loud, but this is the rumors going on behind the scenes. Iran is obviously not the same as Iraq. An attack on Iran, I think, would lead to the entire Middle East blowing up in a conflict, rather than it just being sectioned off like Iraq or Syria. This wouldn't be the same. So while you've got Iran thinking if we can hold on to a nuclear deal until the end of the Trump administration, we might be able to wait out this, this administration, and the next administration might go ahead and re-enter the Iran nuclear deal on its current basis. But then you've got the rumors of the United States preparing to launch a strike on Iran, Israel saying that they're prepared to launch a strike on Iran, especially if they block the Straits of Hormuz, which they would do if they are pushed to it, which is basically if their oil is embargoed. So the US is ready to restrict Iran's oil exports, which is basically embargoing them, which would basically lead to the Straits of Hormuz being blocked, which would lead to Iran being targeted. As mentioned before in previous reports, Russia has their military equipment there, like fighter jets and bombers. So if anything was to go down in Iran, they're not just facing Iran, they'll be facing Russia and any of the other allies that are drawn in because of that. Donald Trump's national security advisor has said the US is ready to restrict Iran's oil exports in a bid to corner the regime into changing their behavior, and they will not be afraid to use further sanctions if necessary. Now, obviously, this is all rhetoric, so we'll see if anything comes out in the real world. But the fact that they're actually talking about it out loud, and this is coming from the national security advisor, it lets you know that those things are really on the table. Just in line with that, the report I mentioned earlier about Donald Trump saying to Pompeo not to go to North Korea, again, that could, kind of push the bloody nose strike, which we talked about so many times back in the beginning of the year. That could push it back to the forefront in terms of if Donald Trump thinks that North Korea isn't complying with their agreement, whatever their agreement was, in terms of denuclearization, then military conflict could be on the table. And that's only bolstered with the fact that the United States is having a trade war with China, and China has a heavy influence over North Korea. So you've got a lot of things to, well, look out for in that respect. So keep an eye on that. At the same time, you know that things are looking a bit more serious when you've got commercial airliners like British Airways and Air France suspending flights to Tehran. Now, the public reason being given for this is because of the sanctions, but it's also very convenient that the sanctions would force large companies out of Iran, like oil companies, gas companies, American companies, European companies being forced out of Iran. At the same time, commercial airlines and flights being stopped to Iran. You can label that under sanctions and it looks nice for the public, because obviously that would give us a nice straight line to, oh, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Oh, the sanctions, that's why. But then when you look a little bit deeper and you realize that you've got the potential for strikes on Iran coming up, being talked about by John Bolton and Donald Trump, you realize that these sanctions, they're twofold. One, they're punishing the Iranian regime, but they're also clearing out any American, European companies in case there is a conflict there. Less collateral damage for, that the allies. Different way of looking at it, very usable. Syria. So we've got North Korea, Iran, now we're on to Syria. The final showdown looms in Syria. The UN warns it could be a bloodbath. This is Assad and Russia planning to take back the last part of Syria, which is in the north of Syria, a place called Idlib, and it is currently being occupied by ISIS militants. Unlike southern Syria, this northern part looks like it's going to be very hard to take back, but Assad has promised that he will take back every inch of the country, so they're not shying away from it, which means that potentially the lives of up to 3 million people or more could be in danger. Obviously, Idlib is on the border of Turkey, and Turkey have sent some renovated tanks to their border. They've got their military there just inside that kind of area, so they're prepared for whatever's coming. Obviously, Israel's still prepared as well, Golan Heights region. So the war is nearly over, but the last part of it is, according to most reports, going to be the bloodiest part of it of all. This is emphasized with Russia as well, sending naval reinforcements to Syria this week. as their allies from the Syrian Arab army prepare to launch a major offensive in the northwestern part of the country. According to Yurik Isik of the Bosporus Observer, the Russian Project 745 BSF, Sorum-class rescue tug MB-304, and BM Project 21980 Kranok-class counter-sabotage patrol crafts, Euromets Krima A36 and Cadet 840 transited the Bosporus Strait towards the Mediterranean port of Tartus. Don't know if I said all those names right, but basically it's just giving you a rundown of the naval assets that are currently traveling through the Bosporus Straits to Syria to back up Assad in this offensive that they're going to be is going to take place most likely within the next 2 weeks or so, which again brings it into this timeline where there seems to be a lot of things going on. Earthquakes. New mega earthquake fears as the Ring of Fire is rocked by 214 excuse me 214 earthquakes in 1 week. Within that week, 53 of them occurred on Sunday. So there's a lot of earthquakes happening. Obviously, we're picking up earthquakes all around the world: Indonesia, Japan, across Hawaii, Venezuela, New Zealand. Basically, the entire Pacific Ring of Fire is being shaken right now, and all that energy is obviously going somewhere. We can't tell exactly where, but we can guess that it's building up on the west coast of the United States. This is where we get the fears of the big one. The big one is in relation to an earthquake of magnitude 9 or above, which causes devastation in California and the west coast, Oregon, Washington, even down into Mexico, South America parts. That could have an effect on the ocean in terms of tsunami. There's other events that could cause that. It could also have an effect on Yellowstone as well. There's been a lot of different things coming out of Yellowstone. We've been talking about over the years: Steamboat Geyser, uplift, earthquakes, gas emissions, all sorts of things going on over there. And obviously we're always told there's nothing to worry about, this is all normal, but you know, the volcano is going to erupt at some point. So we just have to keep our eyes on it, because when it does go, a lot of people are going to be affected in the media area and globally. So something very important to pay attention to, especially when you see numbers like 214 earthquakes in 1 week across the Pacific Ring of Fire. Could be that it's being reported more, but from what I've looked at over the last year and a half, 2 years, that's not normal. Ventusky weather, hurricanes. This is a projection to the 4th of September. We have another hurricane heading towards Hawaii around that time. I believe this one is going to be called Hurricane Miriam. Miriam, if you check the name meaning, is the Hebrew name. It's the debated meaning. Many believe it to mean sea of bitterness or sea of sorrow. That would obviously connect quite nicely with tsunami type theory, sea and waves roaring, biblical theory as well. At the same time, it's also widely believed that the name means wished for child. Obviously, you can take different meanings from that. And mistress or lady of the sea, again, another sea reference. Considering there's 3 different references to the sea, I would go with the sea reference more than the wished for child reference, but not to be ignored. So if that hurricane is called Hurricane Miriam, it will be heading towards Hawaii. Looking at the speed of the actual hurricane itself, from tracking from about the 1st of September up to the 4th, considering its movement from about there to there within 4 days, I would expect it to arrive around the islands. It may not hit the island directly, could be just like the others, could pass to the north or get pushed from the north to the passing by the south. We'll keep an eye on it and update as we go. But at the moment, with its speed, it looks like it would arrive in around Hawaii around the 7th, 8th or 9th of September. If it does arrive around the 9th of September, then obviously we've got the North Korean thing going on at the same time. Chinese president visiting North Korea for the first time. So a few things to watch out for there. As I said, we'll update if the trajectory changes, it disappears, or it looks like it's going to make a more direct hit with Hawaii. it's just you know, I'll send out my prayers for the people of Hawaii because they are suffering right now under a lot of geological events. And I say geological, yeah, geological events, hurricanes. They got flooding, had a few fires break out. They've got the volcano going on there. So, you know, pray for the people of Hawaii that they are, you know, safe. But at the same time, from the interpretations that I've looked at, there are worse things planned for Hawaii. So bear that in mind as well. Asteroids. A huge asteroid categorized by NASA as a near-Earth asteroid is expected to pass by our corner of the solar system on the 29th of August. That one's being talked about quite a lot. It's called 2016 NF23, if you want to check it out. I don't think it's posing any danger. The reason I bring it up is because it's one of 8 asteroids that are flying by the planet within the next week. Again, that number 8 pops up. The one I'm looking at, not for any particular collision, but just for its sheer size, is this asteroid called 2015 FP118. It's speeding through space on a trajectory that will make a close approach on September the 3rd next month, and that's another reason why I've brought this up, because of the date that it's passing by, September the 3rd. Obviously, that kind of brings it into, I've got a watch period from the 27th of August to the 2nd of September. I don't discount the 3rd of September. Obviously, time zones could mean that it's the 2nd of September somewhere in the world and the 3rd of September elsewhere in the world. But we've got a lot of things going on around that time, so a lot of things to kind of look out for, keep watch of, and I'll keep updating as necessary. The only other translation that I've got in terms of the 1723, which connects with the lunar calendar in terms of the 17th lunar day in the 7th lunar month, which is August 27th, tomorrow, up until the 23rd lunar day following the 17th lunar day, which brings us into September the 2nd, which could be translated as the second 9/11. The only other interpretation would be using that same date frame, would be on the Julian calendar, which would put it 13 days behind, which would mean the period would go from September the 9th to September the 15th. And I just mentioned that for the sake of covering all bases, Gregorian, lunar, and Julian calendar. I still think tomorrow is significant, looking at the events that could potentially happen. There's a lot of scenarios that could unfold, and I'm watching, so I'll keep you updated. I keep saying that, but I will. You guys, that's all I want to bring to you guys today. Keep an eye out. Really, let's just say for the next, I think for the next 2 weeks would be good, just to keep your eyes open each day. Check out what's being reported, even things that are not being reported. So that's another thing to watch for. You keep an eye on reports that you always receive about certain things, and when you're not receiving those reports, that should kind of make you think what's going on. But yeah, next 2 weeks, so from here that encompasses the 27th to the 2nd, and then you've got the beginning, if there is any reference to the Julian calendar, from the 9th. And obviously the 9th is not insignificant because we've got all those things going on with North Korea around that time. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.